back for Arfield. What a volley! Scott Arfield! He's been threatening that recently. And all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end. Oh, what a goal! What a goal from Robbie Blake! Burnley's first goal in the Premier League is something very, very special.
Wade Elliott has that change of pace and he's got away from Montgomery. It's the path of McCann and the follow-up finds the net. What a strike from Wade Elliott! A bolt from the claret and blue.
Oh goodness me! What a goal from Patterson! If that is to be the one that takes them to Wembley, you cannot argue with that. Pure quality.
Here goes Mike Conroy. Still time for a winner, maybe. John Francis! They came to York in their thousands. They're going home as champions.
I mean, if there's any justice in the world, Burnley would surely score from this corner. Swung right in there. Ball in there. Yeah! Michael Keane! Oh, that's justice! That is justice at the Amex Stadium. Burnley are level and deserve to be.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome along to the latest instalment of the TurfCast podcast, full-time show, and I am obviously a very happy man this morning. Obviously, we're going to be discussing the result yesterday at the Stadium of Light, and what a result it was in the end as well. I'm sure not many people thought that would happen at half-time. We have got a couple of guests waiting to come in the wings, but I'm going to do the usual thing where I chat for a little bit first, give my thoughts and stuff like that, read out any comments that we've got coming in. So get your comments in now, get them coming in thick and fast as soon as you can so we can read them out before the discussion starts. But it's good to see Simon Maroos in the chat. As an old school name that we've had for quite a while here on TurfCast. Just quickly move my chair up so you can see me over the comment. But he says, what a second half performance up the Clarets. When was the last time we came back from 2-0 down at half time to win 4-2? And I don't know if that's a question that you already know the answer to, Simon, because if it is, then please let us know. I'm going to guess, and in fact, don't let us know just yet. I'll bring the two guests in later and ask them to. I remember being 2-0 down to Barnsley quite a long time ago. I think Gifted Noel Williams scored a hat-trick. That's how long ago it was. QPR as well. We were 2-0 down there and won 4-2 when Akinbaye scored a hat-trick, or was it Andy Cole? Them two were up top for us. But yeah, I'm not sure on that one. So if you're watching in the chat, get your guesses in, and then we'll and then hopefully Simon knows the answer. If you don't know the answer, Simon, then just let us know now, and then probably go and ask Dave Roberts. That's one for Dave Roberts, I think, to be honest. But yeah, let's talk about the match yesterday then. Obviously, chalk and absolute cheese, them two halves of football, wasn't it? The first half, we were god-awful. We were dreadful. And now, no, I'm not taking anything away from Sunderland because I thought they were very good in the first half. They dominated us. They wanted it more than us. They were better in midfield than us because Jack Cork wasn't there. And they just dominated in every area. They dominated us in every area, but especially the midfield. Like I said, they were overrunning us. It was just abysmal. And again, I'm not taking anything away from Sunderland. They're not rubbish, but they're not good either. You know, they're not going to set the Championship on fire this season. You know, they've just lost 3-0 at Ewood Park, for example. All right, they're second, to be fair. So that's a bad example. I just see them as terrible in my head because obviously it's Blackburn. They started the season well, but they're starting to fade a little bit. But you know, they're not rubbish, but they're not a great side either. So I was pretty angry, to be honest. I thought that Company, to be honest, I thought he got that team selection wrong. Some people will say obviously he was resting players and worried about a Jack Cork suspension. But it's the Ashley Barnes thing for me. I love the guy, and I will refuse to criticise him too much because of everything he's done for the club. But he were getting nothing off the ref. I got a bit of criticism for that yesterday. There was a few fouls in there. I don't care what anybody says, but nothing, absolutely nothing was sticking to him. It was bouncing back at us, coming back to us after bouncing off him every single time. And then he changed it up a bit. Obviously, he took Barnsley off, put Teller in the middle, and we actually started to have a decent, purpose. We had some We look dynamic, is what I'm trying to say. We're actually getting the ball forward, running with the ball, and obviously we got the goal early on, and that just set the tone. And obviously the rest is history. I have got, like I said, 2 guests. I've also been sent a video off DJ Dave. Now, I didn't ask for any videos this week because I knew I was doing one of these, and I knew Tom were coming on, and Tom is a big help. Sometimes Tom edits the fan reaction videos for me, so I didn't want to, pile too much on people and stuff. So I didn't ask for any videos this week. But DJ Dave sent us one anyway. I can't remember his full name. Is it Anthony David? Anthony David. But I'll just give it a play anyway to keep him sweet. And this is his thoughts after full time yesterday.
Sunderland v Burnley match review. Wow, Sunderland 2, Burnley 4. I did not see that coming at half time. I'll be honest with you, I thought that were it, dead and buried. But this team doesn't know when it's beaten. And do you know what? I've seen a different way of winning now. I believe now if we do go behind, we can come back, whereas before we've not really seen it before. We've always gone 1-0 up and then they've pegged us back and then it's sort of gone stale and flat. But to come back the way we did in the second half was absolutely brilliant. It's a sign. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but it is a sign of certainly promotion credentials. I've not really seen over the 16 games anybody better than us. But that first half was pretty awful. But second half, just, wow, amazing. If it had carried on for another 10 minutes, I bet we'd have got another couple of goals, maybe, So it's just really, really positive. The only downside is flipping Rovers, isn't it? Ugh, they do me head in. I want them to tail off, but the game in 3 weeks' time is just going to be absolutely flipping pandemonium, isn't it? But yeah, so what a result. Great performance second half. Onwards and upwards. Get it.
Promotion credentials. That's the most positive I've ever heard, Dave, to be honest, if that is his real name. But yeah, pretty much agree with it all, to be honest. First half were dreadful, second half were good. And you know what? A lot of managers now, Robbins is the same, now Mowbray, the Birmingham City manager in midweek have all said, we're the best team in the league, Burnley the best team in the league. And I find that quite, not bizarre. I don't think it's necessarily massively untrue. I think Sheffield United are a little bit better than us when they've got all their players, but that's a different debate. But it's just weird saying that. And obviously, these managers know football. So if these are all saying that we're the best team in the league, then there's probably something in it. Lads, I'm going to be bringing in a couple of seconds. I'll just read some comments out. Just going back to the question that Simon Marroos asked. Scott Hardacre says, Barnsley won at Turf. You are right. I was on it. But Simon Marroos has said, I don't know the answer. Haha. You need to bring back the TurfCast quizzes. Yeah, it's... I used to do the quizzes, didn't I, during lockdown, but there was a lot of hard work for like 10 viewers, Simon. I know you were the guy that loved them. You were the guy that there every week, but a lot of hard work for not much reward, mate. Harry, that second half performance shows how good we can be. Serious contenders, for automatic promotion. Who would have thought we'd be doing this so well early in the season? Yeah, fantastic second half. I am a little bit worried about that first half. I do feel like the games might catch up with us a little bit, although we have got 3, with the greatest respect to the likes of Norwich, Reading and Rotherham. We've got 3 very winnable games coming up, so we could be in a brilliant position this time in, what, a week. So fingers crossed that the games don't catch up with us. And Humongous, great name, says, glad to see as a City fan, Burnley lads are turning around results for Vinny K, the Warrior. There's not really much to turn around, to be honest, Hugh. Obviously, that's not your real name. I'm going to call you that. We've just been drawing a lot. But we seem to be kicking on a little bit now. We just need to turn it into 90-minute performances because a good side would have put us to the sword yesterday in the first half. And one thing I will say before I bring the lads in, one thing I have done every single game since this podcast and this page was created is tweet at halftime. And I will continue to do it for as long as this page is going. I will always tweet my thoughts at halftime. And I said yesterday at halftime, I'll just quickly get it up. It won't be on your screen, but for those of you that want to see it, then please feel free to follow us on Twitter, log on. I'm just finding it now. Log on and then you can give us a follow. But I said at halftime, what a horrendous half of football. Abysmal at the back and offered absolutely nothing abysmal at the back and offered absolutely nothing up top. They're winning the battle in the middle and dominating us. We've had like 2 spells of possession the whole game. Too many passengers, the wrong team selection. That's spot on. There's nothing wrong with that comment. After watching that first 45 minutes, that is spot on. A lot of people like to dive on these sort of comments at full time and go, haha, look, you look like an idiot now. Well, no, the comments were completely justified at half time. Vincent Kompany got the team selection wrong, in my opinion, and a few people share that opinion. The lads that are coming on in a minute might not. Full credit to him, though. He recognised the issues. He recognised that nothing was happening up top. He took Ashley Barnes off, changed it up, and then we got the result because of him. I will always, first camera freeze of the show, and it has to be doing it at this point, doesn't it? But I will always give people the credit, there we go, the credit when they deserve it, and the stick when they deserve it. And them deserved a lot of stick in that first half, but my God, they deserve a lot of credit for that second half, and that's exactly what I gave them. Just one more comment off you, the City fan. He says, yeah, that's what I mean, draws into wins. See, where do Burnley need to strengthen? I'm sure Pep and the club will want to help out as much as possible. Well, we can always have another midfielder. If KDB's free, you've pretty much won the title already. You know you've got Haaland. But a lot of people saying give us Haaland, and yeah, I think he would genuinely score 1 million goals in the Championship. But KDB, I love to see him in a Burnley shirt. Lads, I'm going to bring you in now. We are bringing in Tom from Up the Clarets. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
All the way from Thailand as well.
Yeah, Northern Thailand. It's bridging on tea time for us now, but it's a good time of day to do this for me. So, yeah.
Happy days. Oh, thanks for coming on. It's the first time you've been on, obviously. You may recognise him from the fan reaction shows. So, Tom, thanks for coming on your first live show. I really do appreciate it. Obviously, I've been saying for a while that I was going to bring you on the live one. And, of course, you all know Neil. Not quite as far. I think, Neil, you're from Sunderland, aren't you? That must have been fun yesterday.
Yeah.
And tell me the story, because you said you went on with your father-in-law, who's a Sunderland fan.
He is, yeah. So, I brought him on, and I've been bigging us up all season, saying because he's been to turf a couple of times under Dash, and obviously seen us last season when we were really poor. So his impression of what we were like was what everyone's impression of what we were like at the time was. And I've been bigging us up, saying, no, it's a different Burnley. We play exciting football. It's a young team. We're one of the strongest. You'll be surprised. And then we turned out that first half, and he was just like, this is just exactly the same. But then obviously it was very different at the end. So.
Yeah, what did he say about that second half? That'd be interesting to know.
He was obviously disappointed, but he's a lot, him and obviously a lot of my extended sort of Sunderland family have all said the same thing, that's the best team that's been at the stadium this season so far. Second half, anyway.
Yeah, definitely second half. Well, let's start with the negatives so we can get them out of the way and then move on to the positives. Tom, I'll start with you. First off, obviously I've just had a little bit of a rant about people diving on comments and stuff like that, but I felt that Vincent Kompany got the team selection wrong. I kind of understand why he's dropped Jay, because he did look a little bit leggy midweek. But if, obviously we don't have the depth there for me, because I don't think Barnes is good enough. I'd like to see Dervisoglu, but for whatever reason, he's not been playing. I'm not really sure why, but if you're dropping, if you're going to make a decision to drop Jay, I think you need to make sure that obviously somebody good enough is there to come in. And for me, I love Barnes. I don't like criticising him. Like I said before, I've got a pair of his match-worn sound boots just down there. I love the guy and I'll forever be grateful, but he's just not good enough anymore, isn't he? But for me, I do think VK got the team selection wrong in the first half. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, when it first got announced, I'm in quite a few groups on sort of Facebook and WhatsApp and stuff. Being abroad, you kind of have to be in them to get the interaction with Burnley fans, because there isn't any out here. And I could see the moaning and groaning as soon as the team came out and Barnes was in there, and people's negativity towards it. And I tried to kind of rally people around and say, come on, if people start booing him and get on his back from the first whistle, then it's not going to end well for him anyway, is it? But it did kind of feel like last chance for him yesterday to really turn out and put a performance in, because he's not really put a performance in for, I mean, you're probably bridging on a couple of seasons now since we've seen the best out of him. So, I mean, ideally, I wouldn't want to see him play for the rest of the season, if possible. I think he's just tarnishing his own legacy with Burnley now, as somebody that we all know and love and remember for some fantastic moments. Every week now, when he turns up and it really matters for us, he's not putting in a performance. It's just making him look worse and worse. And I'd hate for him to be a figure of ridicule with the Burnley fans and then end up not liking him for the performances he's putting in now, when we can remember the good side of him.
Yeah, I agree. Thankfully, a lot of Burnley fans who were older than, say, 20 have, good memories of, well, that's probably older than 15, really. I have good memories of Ashley and will remember him highly from the times when he wasn't past it. But Neil, a lot of people are saying that the system doesn't suit him. A lot of people saying he's past it. Which do you reckon it is? Or do you reckon it's just a mixture of both?
I think it's a mixture of both. He's never been the same since that hernia, has he? He was out for ages in that hernia, and he's never come back the same. But I just think he doesn't fit our style of play anymore. He's very much a throwback to how Dyche used to play and that sort of football. I don't think he quite fits the company way of playing football anymore. I mean, he looked well out of his depth yesterday. And I thought it was, I think I said in my fan reaction midweek that it'll mix it up for Saturday, but I thought he might just drop Jay. I wasn't expecting Cork to be dropped as well. So when you're seeing that, I thought it was a bit bold by company to do that.
You've touched on Jack there. I do want to talk to Jack. Talk to you about Jack. I'll stick with you, Neil, because I was talking to somebody yesterday when we were 2-0 down at halftime, admittedly. Obviously, I think he's taken Jack off because he's worried about the suspension. Obviously, he's on 4 yellow cards, and he probably wants him to play midweek against a Norwich side who are better than Sunderland. With all due respect against the Sunderland, they're a better side. So I can kind of see what he's trying to do. But in my head, and to be fair, the person that came in for him was Goodmanson, and he got booked within 2 minutes. So I think he might say it's justified because in the end we've got the win. But for me, I just think start your best players when you can, unless they're knackered or injured, obviously. And then if you get suspended, worry about the suspension at the time. Don't worry about it now because we nearly threw that game away. And the whole point of playing him against Norwich was to give us the best chance of winning. And we nearly lost that game. But in the end, maybe it's justified. I don't know. I think it was silly to drop Jack and Jay, the two massive players. And obviously we've learned his lesson from that.
At half-time, that's what I said. I said we need some experienced heads on that pitch because we just looked lost. We looked like we didn't know what to do. Sunderland were just staffed and everything we did. Because to be fair, Sunderland played all right, but I don't think they were outstanding. I think we made them look better than they actually played.
They were just in our faces, weren't they?
Yeah, they're in our faces. And I just think that if Jay's not on the pitch, then you put Jack on because we need that experience. It's a young team. To be fair, for a lot of them, they won't have played in a crowd that big and that sort of atmosphere before because it's a big stadium for a lot of those lads to have played in. I just think you need your experienced heads in that middle, and I think it showed in the first half that we were just lost. We just looked like there wasn't a plan, and they looked a bit frightened. To be fair, some of them the first touches weren't coming off. Just nothing was coming off. But that's also where I thought Barnes might have been that experienced head, so I was expecting a little bit better. But yeah, I thought it was very brave by company, but he should have played Jay or Jack, not drop both at the same time.
Yeah, no, fair enough. He did talk a lot about lessons, didn't he, in his post-match interview? Yeah. So hopefully that he's talking about himself as well there, rather than just the players. Because that had been a fantastic... Sorry, go on, Neil.
He 100% is. He 100% is talking about himself there. You could see afterwards he said there's lessons and... Yeah, he 100% is talking about himself.
Yeah, like I'm a big fan of company. We've done very well to say with this stage of the season. A lot of people thought we'd met, not struggling, but taking time to collect. But to say we're in this position and blowing teams away, admittedly not until the second half yesterday, and we've only done it a few times. But yeah, it's good to see. But I just thought he made a few mistakes yesterday, as I've said. But keep your comments coming in. Harry says, good to see we have a plan B and C, something we never really had under Dyche. Yeah, I agree with that. I think sometimes we struggled a bit under Dyche to have a plan B and C. Jack Palmer says, hello lads, first time catching this live. I was at work during the match yesterday. I was checking live score, but it wasn't working. So all I knew is we were 2-0 down. And when I found out we won, I was ecstatic. Scott Hardacre, he says, I think he could still play a part. Long old season in the Championship, obviously referring to Ashley Barnes there. I don't know. For me, I think I'm on Tom's side. I think definitely don't start him again this season. I think that was a lot of people have been saying, oh, you can't just blame Barnsley for that first half. We were terrible all over the pitch. Yeah, and we were. But part of the reason is because every time we tried to have some light relief of the ball going up top, it didn't stay up top. It just came straight back at us. So I think for me, if you're bring him on in the last 10 minutes or something like that. Not necessarily when we're chasing a goal as well. Just I don't know. Just maybe ask him to do a different sort of job because what he has to do yesterday wasn't working. Although I stand by the fact he didn't get much off the refs, but there was only a couple of fouls in there, I think.
He didn't. I thought that. I thought the refs were being very...
I tweeted it around 35th minute, and loads of people were diving on it saying not one time that he's gone down, it's been a foul. I have got... Because I was doing a match day vlog. You've seen the goal, obviously, on Twitter. And for those of you watching, I will show the goal in this video in just a few minutes. There's a Ruri goal. But I was doing a match day vlog. It'll probably be out on the channel tomorrow or something like that. But he was in the corner where I was sat, which is the complete opposite side to you, Neil. And I was in that corner, and he was there holding the ball. He just got hacked from behind and right in front of the linesman. He just didn't give a shit. It was 100% a free kick.
Do you not think part of that though is because people do know that he just goes down and waves his arm?
Probably. But then you've got to be a professional referee, haven't you? And look at the situation and be like, was clearly.
Somebody's performance. For me, I can't remember I think it was late on in the first half, but he got the ball sort of right in front of me, so it would have been to our right as they're attacking us. And it might have been Taylor or someone was on the other wing, and he hoofed it half the length of the pitch and what looked like a good ball, but then it just went straight out into the crowd, and I just thought that summed it up. That summed it all afternoon. That was a good chance to break it.
Cork not playing really hurt Barnes yesterday because
there
was nobody around him anytime he got the ball either. So we were playing Goodmanson where Brownhill should have played, somebody who's not naturally supposed to play in that position. So, I mean, it's not going to be easy for him for a start because he's not experienced. He doesn't know where he needs to be. Every time he got the ball, there was no one around him. There was a big gap between striker and midfield in that first half. So it wasn't all necessarily his fault, but you've got to feel that he does go down too soft quite a lot of the time. And I don't know, the ball just seems to bounce off him these days every time it comes to him.
It doesn't seem to stick, does it, at all? Don't seem to stick at all. That brings us on nicely to this comment from NKP Fave. Obviously, you're saying the gap between midfield and the strikers was too big, and it was. Obviously, we were too far back. But he says, has Barnes ever been a target man? He's always played two up top. I don't think he'd ever cut it alone. That's probably a good point. Like, if you're going to bring Barnesy on, don't bring him on for Jay. Bring him on and keep Jay on and put two up top. Maybe that would work. Tom, I don't know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's probably a fair point. I mean, I think he did play on his own a couple of times under Dyche when we'd had injuries and stuff, and he struggled quite a bit from what I remember when he's played like that previously. I mean, those were probably Premier League games, and you might think he could do a little bit better. But I mean, he's played in a two for us, in games as well since he's come back from this injury, and he's not looked that good in a two either. So, it's going to be a tough old season for Barnesy, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on, though, obviously, half-time, all deflated. Half-time comments justified for those of you that like to dive on comments at full-time, completely justified. But Harry mentioned a comment earlier. I'll bring it back on screen. Tom, I'll stick with you. He says, good to see we have a plan B and C. Something we never really had under Dyche. We'll ignore the Dyche comment, but it is good to see, although I do agree with it, but it's good to see us actually have a plan B. And he thought, and the good thing about Company, I think, here is, he thought outside the box. I was at half-time saying, just put Jay on. Just get Barnesy off now, put Jay on. And it might have just been more of the same, but he tried to do something different. He put Teller through the middle. And at half-time, I was like, why is he doing that? And we need a striker on the pitch. But Jesus Christ, it worked, didn't it? And it's good to see him have a plan B and it's good to see him think outside the box, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's not afraid to change it up, and he's not afraid to make a lot of substitutions at once, and it's been positive at times, and then we've had times when it's been negative and it's taken the sting out of the game for us as well. So I mean, that's just going to come with experience and knowing the players. It's a learning process for him as well. Obviously, he's not known a lot of them for longer than sort of 6 months at this stage. So I mean, it's kind of the thing with taking Jay and Cork out of the team. He's got to experiment with some of these players at some point. We've got a massive squad. So I mean, sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it isn't. Obviously the first half yesterday didn't work, but it's good to see him at least trying different stuff week in, week out for sure.
Yeah, Neil, your thoughts on what Company tried to do? Obviously, hindsight's a wonderful thing, and we all know now that it worked, and we'll give him loads of credit for it because it obviously did. But it were a brave move, weren't it? I think to not necessarily to take Barnesy off, but to try and do something different. Like I said, I was just saying, get Jay on, and then he's put Teller up front through the middle, changed it around a little bit there. I can't remember we actually brought on at half-time for Barnes, but there you go, Benson. So Benson did very well for us. Obviously, he's put Benson on, as part of the front three, Teller up front through the middle. So he's not afraid to do things like differently, isn't he? And obviously that's a good thing for us.
Yeah, it is, and it just I think it's his philosophy of playing football, and it sort of take risks and just see where it gets us. Bringing Benson on, I think he just identified that we need, if we had that bit of pace, we could hurt them, and obviously it did work. So yeah, it's good to see that we have got that, and it's good that he's. I think we touched on it. It's good that he's recognising when he hasn't got it right as well. Instead of being sort of like sticking with it and thinking, oh, it'll get there eventually, he clearly thought, right, it's not right, I'll change it up, and did it straight away.
Yeah, good point. To be fair, my biggest criticism of Dyche, and I don't like to see too much Dyche slander because, again, he's a legend. But my biggest criticism of Dyche was the stubbornness. Like, he dropped Jack Cork too many times, for example, and even though it clearly wasn't working, the Joe Hart and Tom Heaton situation was exactly the same. Everybody knew it wasn't working, but he just stuck by it. And I think with Dyche at the helm yesterday, I don't think he'd have made that dynamic change at half time, and we probably would have gone on to lose a game. Having said that, I don't think Dyche should have dropped both Jay and Jack or two big name players like that at once. But again, that's a different debate. But moving on to the second half, actually, we've just had a comment. We'll just read a couple of comments out, actually. Jack Palmer says, I think that defenders now have the correct way of countering Barnes' play style to bullying defenders and facing his own goal with the ball. I think the best thing in for his goal, maybe at League One. Obviously, we've moved on from the Barnes debate now, but yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that. Robert Baldwin says, what do you lads think of Vincent getting another striker in January? I think it would be good to get another striker. I think yesterday highlighted our need for another striker, but it also highlighted that maybe Vincent has other ideas as well. Because I know he did start the season, didn't he, Tom? I'll start with you on this one. He did start the season saying he doesn't necessarily want a striker. And yesterday was probably maybe what he was thinking about doing, sticking Teller through the middle, having Zaroury and Benson players like that at either side. That might be something that he wants to do going forward. It obviously worked yesterday. So what are your thoughts on another striker coming in?
Yeah, I mean, Teller can obviously finish. We've seen that from the beginning of the season. So playing him there is a solution if we're going to play a certain kind of way. The problem is he's not that physically strong, so we don't really have an outlet there if he does play there. I mean, yeah, if somebody's offering us another striker, I'll take it. But it costs a lot.
There's a Man City fan in the chat offering us some players, so we'll have some of them. Neil, your thoughts though? Striker or another player like Teller and Benson? Because like I said, it's interesting because the company said he wanted to play that way at the start of the season. Yesterday, he finally got round to doing it, and it showed that when that clicks, it's fantastic. And yesterday, it was fantastic in the second half.
I think a lot depends on when the window opens where we are in the injury situation, because all it's going to take is Jay to get injured, and we're absolutely knackered, aren't we? And I think there's probably more likely to get one on loan than we are to buy one. So it probably is going to be a City youngster, in all fairness. But I think it's more likely to see one on a half-season loan than we are to go out and buy one permanently.
Yeah, fair enough. Harry says, would love to go back in for Obafemi. I agree. He wasn't very good at the turf the other day, but we didn't really give him a chance to be very good. I think imagine somebody like Obafemi in this Burnley side yesterday. It could have been 7-2 by the end of it. Jack Palmer says, I think company should use the money from selling Weghorst to get another striker of a similar level to J-Rod and play him on rotation or both. Obviously, the only problem with that is we haven't actually sold Weghorst yet. Glyn Wilson says, morning, Clara. It's pissing down in London this morning. I don't think it's raining here yet. It's definitely not raining in Thailand. If you look at Tom's face, he looks very warm.
It is actually.
Is it? Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's just started raining.
I'm going to guess in Sunderland, Neil, it's very windy.
No, it's quite still, actually. It has been raining, though.
It has rained this morning in Burnley, to be fair. We'll move on from the weather chat, though, Glyn. Thank you for your comment, though. MKP Fair says another central defender may be needed. Potentially, but, you know, we do have Egan, Riley and McNally come in as well. I'm not sure how much company actually rates McNally, if I'm honest. I think he would have played more if he rated him highly, but he is still young. Maybe he's one for the future. I think we've looked good at the back. Obviously, the fact that we've got Charlie Taylor in there now when Bay is injured maybe suggests that you could be right on that one, but he's doing a fantastic job, is Taylor. I think the only problem with Taylor is that he isn't very good on the ball. So it's one of them. He's still a cracking defender.
I think he's brought into that role, you know. I think
he is doing, but I think you can tell the difference between him and Bayer on the ball. Yeah. You can tell the difference. Inky Punk's in the chat, otherwise known as Anti-Football, if you remember Anti-Football from the earlier days. Morning, lads. Glorious sunshine here in Portugal. Good to see McNally and Egan Riley being introduced gently when games are already won. Yeah, completely agree with that. And BFC Liam says, not being able to get Do-Wah Diddy out of my head for about 2 weeks, people getting peed off of me at work singing it. I'll tell you what, mate, I came home last night, my little boy was still awake, which I was surprised at because I didn't get on till about 8:45. If that were me, I'd be getting shouted at. But I picked him up and I was singing it all night. Absolutely brilliant. And that new Anna Sarori song, absolutely brilliant. That's my favourite, I think, the Anna Sarori song.
That was echoing around the streets of Sunderland for hours afterwards.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But when we were coming out, obviously we parked in like near the burger vans around the back, and I've always got on with Sunderland fans. I lived there for a year. Obviously, Neil, you'll know, you lived there as well. I've never really had any issues with him. We're all just walking around singing Burnley songs, and most of Sunderland fans were laughing. There are a couple of people going, "Ah, you lucky bastards," and all this, but most people were just having a laugh. But let's get on to that second half then, boys, because what a dream of a second half it was. Tom, I'll start with you. We needed an early goal, didn't we? And we got it, and that proper set the tone for it.
Yeah, and I was watching a Sunderland stream, so I had their comms on, and all they'd gone on about all game was how many goals they conceded to from corners. And I was just thinking, God, could we just get one in from a corner, and they might panic if we get one. And thankfully, it just went over and went in. But it's just pleasing, at least for this game, to see so many of the new lads contributing to goals and assists. Whereas we've probably seen Jay contribute more in games, and Brownie obviously still got one. But to see three of them on the score sheet and contributing assists and really gelling together now is incredible. And obviously Benson really changed the game when he came on. And I noticed watching it that their fullbacks were a little bit slow. So as soon as he came on, he really switched it up a gear down that side. So yeah, I mean, you can't complain. I was really upset at half time, but wife was sleeping on settee next to me watching second half, and she got woke up 3 or 4 times and had to go upstairs. So happy days.
Fair enough. Neil, your thoughts? Obviously, did start well. We've already give credit to company, but I'll say it again, credit to company for recognising, as Tom said, they had issues, the fullbacks were slow, and we could exploit them in certain ways. And he made the changes to do that. So, credit to, and got the early goal, and it set the tone.
Yeah, it did set the tone. That was probably the best half of football I've seen us play, in all fairness. It was just the complete opposite of the first half. The first half, where we looked like we didn't have a plan, we didn't like a clue. In fact, it looked like we'd just come up from League One, not Sunderland. Yeah, and then in the second half, it was just absolutely just power, direction, organisation. Everything was coming off, confidence, everything. So whatever Vincent said or did at half time, amazing. Hats off.
Yeah, I don't know if you two will have done, but I don't know if everybody in the chat has seen them videos of company's half-time team talks when he was at Anderlecht. I think that may have been one of them. Trucker Jenkins says, I said to my dad when we got that first goal back, I'd rather be 2-1 down at this stage than 1-0. Yeah, obviously, especially in that instance, obviously it gives you the credit. Jack Palmer says, I'm never going to get over Zaroury's goal. I need to print a shirt with the goal on it. Yeah, that'd be a good shirt, wouldn't it? Paul,
I didn't realise how good that goal was until I watched it back.
It's such a good goal. I mean, one of the Sunderland players does shit out of a tackle a little bit, but I don't know who wins that tackle. It's not Zaroury, and it goes over to Zaroury. Then he does nothing wrong. Zaroury, he's fantastic. I think
Goodmanson won the tackle then, but I didn't realise just how good that finish was until I watched it back.
Such a good finish.
The bend on it to get it in from that side was unbelievable.
I mean, JBG scored a good one against Birmingham, didn't he? Similar, but not with as much oomph, into the bottom corner and on the opposite side. So in that argument, not similar in the slightest, but a bending goal. And I love them. I love them goals. It's like I don't play FIFA anymore because I went off it years ago. But when I used to play FIFA, it's one of the goals where you cut inside, you press R1, circle, finesse it into the far corner. Absolute peach. And for those of you that do like Zaroury's goal and you want to watch it again, yeah, that is me. That is me shouting that. And the problem with these videos is, right, I do them and I think, oh, that'd be well good content. I listen back to it and I sound like such an idiot on them all.
You reminded me of Gary Neville there. Do you remember when Gary Neville went a little bit over the top?
Oh, yeah. Chelsea-Liverpool, were it? Or
Neville vibes,
or something like that. Well, at Sky Sports, I am available if you need any commentary. Oh yeah, Trucker Jenkins said. I think you're talking about my video there, mate. He says, "As a fan vlog directly in line with Zaroury goal, the bend and dip was incredible. What a fucking hit!" Yeah, that's my video, that mate. I think you're talking about that one. I hope so. Anyway, I've got all 4 goals. All 4 Burnley goals, and one of theirs. I missed the first one. I got them celebrating. The vlog will be out probably tomorrow because I'm working all day today. So it'll probably be tomorrow. But I got all 4 Burnley goals. I won't show it to you now. I might show the Zaroury one again before we go. But yeah. And you know what? I want to go a little bit off topic because someone said earlier, can't remember who it is now. Here we go. Inky Punk, otherwise known as Anti-Football, said, loving the new player chance, but Brownhill deserves a good one. Ignoring the Brownhill bit, although we'll get onto the Brownhill bit in a minute. In fact, we'll do it now because Inky Punk has put a Brownhill comment in there to the tune of Brown Girl in the Ring. I don't know that tune, Ante, I'll be honest. We got Brownhill in the team and he's on the ball. We got Brown on the team and he's going to score a goal. You'll have to tell me the tune. Don't know if anybody knows that tune, because I don't know it. But I like this new rebrand of Burnley Football Club. Like this time 18 months ago, we were seen as this team that just plays horrible football with horrible fans. All right, yesterday, there was potentially reports of an incident where people were throwing something. I didn't see it. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I definitely didn't see it. Neil, you were on the other side, actually. I don't know if you saw anything from that side.
No, we didn't know what happened because from where we was at, we just seen players go off, and then towards our left, just a massive stewards and police. So we had no idea what had gone on.
Yeah, see, they were closer to us, them stewards. So right, I thought maybe I would have seen it if something had happened. Again, I'm not saying it hasn't. I'm not going to do that. But I did speak to a policeman at half-time and say, what were all that about? Is that, what do you mean? I said, stopping of the game in the first half. Is that, did it stop? I said, yeah, it stopped. And they said, a big sign on the screen saying, people throwing stuff on the pitch, you need to stop it. I was like, I don't know, mate. And you would have thought, all right, this policeman may have been inside the stadium and not been outside, if that makes sense, like underneath the concourse. But you would have thought on the radio they'd have said something. But anyway, if that is the case, don't do it again, lads. You're going to give us all a bad name. But this time, 18 months ago, we were seen as this horrible little football club with horrible little fans. Whereas now we're seen as this football club, this forward-thinking club. We've got good young fans coming in, like the fans, the young, they're coming back with, selling out stadiums, selling out away concourses and stuff like that. 2,800 Burnley fans yesterday. And I saw a comment from an Everton fan on one of them away days pages, that puts like Burnley fans at Sunderland. And this Everton fan put, why are they doing this now in the Championship? They never did this in the Premier League. Then they went on to have a little bit of a dig. Just goes to show that they found the level. And it's not that. It's just, I think we've got the bug back, aren't we? Because we're playing a different style of football. Neil, I'll start with you. We're playing a different style of football. They've come in, Alan Pace and people like that, and they've made good decisions for the brand of Burnley Football Club, I think. It's good to see. It's good to see a lot of young fans back, and it's good to see a lot of fans back. And we've got the bug. I saw someone in the concourse yesterday at half time. Someone I knew from college who's a teacher now. Actually, he teaches my little boy. I won't mention his name just in case he don't want to be mentioned. But he teaches my little boy. But he was saying, "That's my first game this season. I've got the bug. I've got the bug again. They've given me all this, and now we're criticising him for that because it was half time, obviously. But it's good to show these type of fans are coming back, and that's good to see, isn't it?"
Yeah, club's had a rebrand, hasn't it? It's a complete rebrand, everything. I think it's just been, I don't know if the term up to date is more, but the club just feels more up to date and more modern and, like you said, forward thinking. Pace has obviously got an idea for what he wants out of the club, and he's trying to brand it in that model. And hats off to him. It's doing all right so far. Yeah,
Tom, your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, I mean. I remember when we first went up to the Premier League, and I've got quite a few friends that are kind of Wigan, Bolton, all different kind of lower Premier League teams that were kind of in and out of the league at the time. And they said to me when we went up, they said, if you stay up there, you'll get bored of it. And I said, no, I'll never get bored of being Premier League. Are you kidding? We'd never get bored of it. But I mean, it was there for all to be seen towards the end of last season and probably the season before. The away attendances were going down, and people just kind of get sick of turning up to hope you might get a point or nick a win every week. Whereas obviously the team, we're all infused now because we're going to big stadiums and playing big teams still, but there's a chance that we're going to get good results and we're playing good football. So yeah, it's there's a buzz around the club at the moment, and it's a buzz that's not been there for a couple of years. So I'm all for it, and let's hope it continues.
Yeah, just from a personal point of view, I can completely agree. I wouldn't say I was bored, but it's one of them. Last year, I went on one away game all season, and that was Brentford away. And normally, I will always go to all of the Northwest ones, but I thought I can't be arsed going City, can't be arsed going Liverpool. I would have gone Everton. I can't remember why I didn't go Everton. But same with United. I normally go there as well, but again, I just couldn't be bothered. Whereas this season, I think that's my fourth one. I think we've played 7 away games. I think Sheffield United as well. I don't actually have a ticket for Sheffield United yet because none of my friends wanted to go on, but I think I might just maybe just go on my own. I'm not sure. We'll see. It's one of them. I think the bug is back. Just going back to the fans throwing stuff on the pitch thing. I spoke to a policeman, like I said, he didn't have a clue. Jack Palmer, that's the wrong comment. Here it is. He says, Company said he wasn't told about things being thrown at all. And then he goes on to say he was told that the stop was for technological errors after the match. So again, I don't really know too much about that. But all I know is I didn't see anything being thrown. I just saw something on the pitch. Sorry, something on the screen. And then all the players go over to the thing. A policeman said, "No, don't know what's going on."
Suggestion from the Sunderland guys on their stream was that the goal line technology had stopped working, is what what they were thinking on their stream. So I don't.
Well, that's interesting. Then it's if it is the case, then why have they put that on the screen?
Yeah, that's apparently it's not a rare occurrence there since they moved the away fans to the top tier, because the away fans used to be behind the goal.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
and I was chatting and they were saying since they moved them up there, it happens pretty much every game. So whether it's just a standard thing they put on, I don't know.
Could be a coincidence, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Or there is someone in the comments says it was a vape and an 8-year-old got hit, but again, I've not seen anything about that. Yeah, obviously we'll carry on then with the second half. Obviously, the second goal, fantastic. Obviously, not as good as the Roaries, but the second goal that got the equaliser, it was good to see as then get back into it. And I'll tell you one thing I noticed. Obviously, after that, we then got our tails up and went on to win the game comfortably. But even at 3-2, and it stayed at 3-2 for quite a while, didn't it? It wasn't 3-2 for ages. Obviously, Benson got the second, then Zaroury got the third, as we all know. And we've just seen in the 69th minute, and it was 3-2 for around 20 minutes. And as soon as it went 3-2, all the Sunderland fans got up and started walking off. And I just thought that was weird. I don't know, Neil, I'll start with you on this one, because obviously you was there with your father-in-law, you was in the Burnley end, but he's a Sunderland fan.
Yeah.
And I thought it was strange that the Sunderland fans were getting up and walking off at 3-2, especially Burnley's record at throwing Leeds away. So I don't know if they were just like, fuck this, mate. Obviously, I don't know why I'm trying to do an accent. Said, forget this. We're obviously not going to come back into it. What were he saying at that point? Were he saying there's no chance we're going back into this now?
Yeah, he even said at half time at 2-0, it's not safe because they're a bit like us of throwing so many leads away. And then when we went behind, I mean, the momentum was clearly with us. They were not getting back into that. And he just said it's happened so often this season that I think fans are just like, that's it.
Yeah, fair enough. Tom, how did you feel when we went 3-2 up? I was still a bit worried personally. I do agree with Neil. The momentum was definitely with us, but the momentum's been with us a few times this season, and we've not been able to kill teams off. And
it felt different yesterday,
It did. Looking back on hindsight, it did. But I don't know. I was still at the time a little bit panicky. But Tom, I don't know how you felt when you went 3-2 up, because I was still a little bit worried.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how aware their fans would be of our statistic of chucking goals away. But yeah, it's a bit surprising if they were aware of it that they'd leave, because you kind of never know with us this season whether a goal's going to sneak in. But yeah, I agree. It definitely felt different yesterday. They felt really dominant. It just didn't feel like we were going to give up another goal. And they just looked like they panicked completely and just started making errors that they weren't making in the first half. But yeah,
I think a lot of their fans sort of aren't expecting anything, because a bit like us, really, they're struggling in the striker situation. All their strikers are injured. Yeah, and I think they knew that once it gone back, especially if they need to score, they're not going to.
Yep, fair enough. Moving on, we've had a few comments. I don't know where it's gone now. Here we go. Anti-football Inky Pung. With 5 of our next 6 at home, surely now this is the time for us to really stamp our authority on this league. I think the next 5 are, just off the top of my head, I could easily get them up on screen, but I'm not going to. Obviously, Norwich on Tuesday. What day is it now? It's Sunday. We've got Norwich on Tuesday, haven't we? Then we've got, is it Reading next Saturday? Then Rotherham the Tuesday after. Then I think it's Sheffield United away. And then after that, is it not Rovers? I'm not sure the next 5. I might be wrong on that one, especially the Rovers one. But yeah, 5 of the next 6 at home, especially the next 3. I'm looking at Norwich. They're a good side. Don't get me wrong. They're a good side, but they have been poor recently. And then you've got Reading, who, off the top of my head, the form has not been great recently. They started the season quite well, but their form hasn't been great. Now, I can't even find them in the league table. Where are they? They're 7th. They've lost 3 out of the last 5, though, but they did win yesterday. So their form's off a cliff. And then Rotherham, again, with the greatest of respect, if we don't leave the turf with 3 points there, then there's something wrong. So, Tom, I'll start with you. Do you think we can really start stamping our authority on this league now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think 5 out of the next 6 at home, we definitely need to start getting a little bit more consistent, start winning as many games as we can. Reading game will be interesting with Andy Carroll coming back. Not sure he's come back and played against us since that red card for elbowing Ben Mee in the back of the head for West Ham. But it should be it'd be an interesting prospect for our players to play against a striker like that, because I don't think they've really come up against somebody that big and domineering yet.
If he's fit.
Yeah, true. Good point.
He scored the winner on Saturday in the last minute. So, you never know with Andy Carroll, I suppose, but he should be fit.
Yeah, I mean, it could be interesting, like you say, somebody like Taylor Harewood-Bellis. I doubt he's ever played against somebody like that. Although he did play in the Championship last season. I don't think Carroll was in the Championship last season off the top of my head, to be fair. But might be worth a plan of just sticking Charlie Taylor on him, a more experienced head at the back. I don't know your thoughts, Neil, on that one.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he can get injured standing up, can't he, Andy Carroll? So you never know if he's going to play or not. But yeah, it'd be an interesting prospect how we deal with him. But if we can stop the ball getting anywhere near him in the first place, then we won't have that problem.
Yeah, true. If we win the midfield battle, then we should be all right. Just in the interest of getting things correct here on TurfCast, because I know sometimes I like to babble and get things wrong. The next fixtures are Norwich at home, Reading away, Reading at home, Rotherham at home, then Sheffield United away, then it is the EFL Cup. Then it is Rovers, so I was right. Just forget the EFL Cup thing, because obviously I'm referring to the league. So that is spot on. And then QPR away, the first game back after the World Cup, which is the 11th of December. I thought the World Cup went on all the way through December. Again, that's a different debate. But let's just have a look at the league table then, shall we, boys? Because it does make good reading, apart from one little thing that doesn't make good reading, but the majority of it is good reading.
We'll sort that out on the Derby law, won't we?
Fingers crossed it's already sorted out by then, Neil, to be honest. Fingers crossed it's already sorted out by then, Neil. But it is on your screen now if you're watching on the YouTube channel. If you're listening on the podcast and you want to see stuff like this, give us a subscribe on the YouTube channel. QPR top. Surprised at that. They're a decent side, but I didn't think they'd be top at this stage of the season. I thought they'd fade, although full credit to their guy. As soon as I heard that Wolves were interested in their manager, I thought, he'll go, they'll drop. Happy days. That's good for us. But he stayed there, so fair play. They've won 4 of their last 5. So have the Horse Fiddlers, who are joint top, but in second, they've won 4 of their last 5. 3 in a row now for Blackburn. Which, they were winning, losing. Now they've won 4 in a row. We are up to 3rd. We are on 7 wins now. 7 wins, 8 draws, won 3 of the last 2, obviously lost once all season. So 1 defeat in 16 championship games. I think it's 14th unbeaten now. Then you've got Sheffield United, who I stand by the fact I do still think they're one of the best sides, if not the best side in the league. And I do think ultimately it'll be between us and them at the end of the season if they get their players back. I am working with a Sheffield United fan today, so I'll get more information on that. But he was saying last week or a couple of weeks ago that he thinks a lot of their injuries are going to be to after the World Cup. So that's obviously good for us because we play them before then and after the World Cup's pretty much most of the season. Then you've got Millwall, who are doing very well. I thought they were poor at the turf. Honestly, I really did. I thought they were very, very poor at the turf, but they've turned it around, won 4 in a row. Norwich, who we play next, they are out of form. Haven't won 1 game in the last 5. Lost 5 games this season compared to our 1. Then you've got the likes of Reading, Luton, Swansea, Preston, Rotherham, Bristol City and Sunderland down in 13th. But Tom, I'll start with you. A lot of people are saying we're the best team in the league, not just Burnley fans or opposition fans and mainly managers who know a lot about that. Are you looking at that league table now and thinking the top 2 is a very, very distinct probability, or are you still a little bit sort of like, just take it 1 game at a time, it's still a new team sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a new team, and there's always the prospect that we might just have that little dodgy spell, and it's how company responds to that if that does happen. We've also got a couple of positions where we're really up against it if those players do get injured. So if Rodriguez is out and if Court goes out, then that puts us in a really difficult position. I don't think we look that good aside with those 2 players out of the team.
Yeah,
so,
I think yesterday proved that, to be fair.
It's very, very fragile for us. I think when we've got everybody fit, we're probably top 2 in the league. But a couple of them players that are our key players have very, very shaky injury records. So, yeah, I mean, I think top 2 at the moment, but it's fragile.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think yesterday the first half proved that. I do think we have there is more to come from us. Apologies, Neil. I've just covered your face with this comment. I will take it down in a second. But Inky Punk says Bastards have played a game more than us, so that position doesn't count. Yes, but obviously we will have played the same amount of games on Tuesday. I don't think they're playing on Tuesday. I know we are. Obviously, it's our rearranged game from when the Queen died. So it should be level, and it's a tough one. If we draw, we will go above them. So fingers crossed we can get a point and get into the top two at the very minimum.
We've got a good, really strong goal difference. It's plus 14 goal difference.
Yeah, good knowledge. I was looking at it then, trying to work it out.
I've got it on Sky. It's massive. That I don't know if we've ever had that in recent times.
Probably not at this stage of the season, no, especially being in the Premier League. Jack Palmer says, I'm not hoping for top two. I know we are going to win the league. Fair enough. Neil, your thoughts on the ambitions for the season? I completely agree with what Tom said. I do feel we are the best team, or at least one of the best two teams in the league when everybody is fit. But it is so fragile. We saw yesterday, if Jay gets injured or Jack, or God forbid both, we are, for want of a better word, pretty poor. That's short. We were very poor against an average Sunderland side yesterday in the first half without them. All right, I don't think either of them came on at half time when we turned it around, in fairness. But them lessons learned. Hopefully, company can recover from them, as he said in the thing yesterday. But what are your thoughts for the ambitions for the season then, bud?
Yeah, so I think top two, but like you say, it depends on injuries because we are bang average with those injuries. But it also depends who we get in January and what company's January plans are. Because we've not many games left now until we'll get to that point anyway. And then the season, if you look at the table, it's insanely tight. So even then, a couple of bad results isn't going to be the end of the world. So if Jay or Jack get injured and they're only out for 2 or 3 games, you can easily pull that back because it's only 2 or 3 wins will get you back up there.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I think we'll start wrapping it up there, lads. It's been good to get you on the show. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you to everyone commenting. Actually, just before we do go, and get your comments in very, very quickly, because I am going to wrap it up because I'm setting off to Leeds in around 40 minutes, so I should probably start wrapping it up soon. Man of the match from yesterday. I've not done a poll for ages, and it's difficult to choose yesterday because nobody deserved it in the first half, and pretty much everybody deserved it in the second half. But Neil, I'll start with you. Who do you think should get the man of the match from yesterday?
Could the manager get one for changing it?
You could do, but then obviously the argument with that is
I don't know. I think Teller was consistent because he was all right in the first half. So you're looking at Teller, but for me, Benson completely changed it. Yeah, completely changed it. He changed the way we played. He changed the mood. He changed everything. So I'm going to give it to him. Yep,
fair enough. Tom, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Benson and Zarori both got a goal and assist each. So Zarori didn't have that good a first half, so I'd probably give it to Benson just based on the fact that biggest contribution, least amount of minutes, and biggest impact on the game. I think it's definitely his best performance in a Burnley shirt so far.
I completely agree, and I think he's so much better when he comes off the bench. Benson personally, I won't say I don't rate him when he starts, but he just seems to impact games so much more than he does when he comes off the bench. Simon Edmondson says Benson man of the match. John Mead says Benson. Luke Williamson says Benson. It's not cheating, says Anas. Michael Sullivan says Benson. Jack Palmer says, I think Teller, as he started the comeback, was solid the whole game and built momentum, building on what Neil said, obviously. Graham 907 says Benson. I was going to give it to Anas, and I still am going to give it to Anas. I'm not going to let you people change my mind. I just thought Anas was brilliant. All right, he was a bit quiet in the first half, but they all were, probably aside from Teller, as you've said. But Icky Punk also says Benson. But for me, it's just that goal. That goal wins it. Don't get me wrong, Benson changed the game. Benson did change the game. I'm not saying he didn't. And I do think he should be maybe coming off the bench a little bit more than maybe starting games. But having said that, he's probably earned the right to start on Tuesday. So we'll see. But lads, thanks for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure. Tom, obviously, I know you've got a Burnley page yourself. So do you want to let everyone know where they can find you, where they can watch and view all your stuff and things like that?
Yeah, it's just Up the Clarets on Facebook, not to be confused with the forum, which everybody does get confused with. We're not affiliated with the forum at all. But yeah, just Up the Clarets on Facebook. We're just putting stuff out on there at the moment. That's it.
Happy days. And Neil, you're just Neil. You can just follow Neil.
Yeah, just me. I'm just me, yeah.
Neil's just Neil. Please feel free to follow him on Twitter. But thank you, lads, for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for commenting. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. If you want more of me today, not sure why anybody would, but if you do want more of me today, I will be over on the sportsbet.io YouTube channel from around 1:30 until around 6:30 today, having a watch of all the Premier League games and talking about stuff like that and putting bets up if that's the sort of thing you're interested in. Although if you are not in England, like Tom, or anti-football, you can just go on the sportsbet.io website and you'll be able to see me on there. But if you are in England, you have to watch me on the YouTube channel. But I reckon before we do go, we take one more look at that Anas Zaroury goal. Anas Zaroury, Anas Zaroury, Anas Zaroury. Thanks everyone for watching and listening. If you're listening on the podcast, that's the point. I've been putting these videos up of the goal. You can't see it. You're seeing me screaming like an idiot. But thank you for listening if you're listening on the podcast and listening to the things. And I will be back, hopefully, for a pre-game show before the Norwich game. But I'll be honest with you, I haven't even sorted a Norwich fan out yet. So I might struggle for that. But if not, I'll be definitely doing a 60-second review after it. But thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.
See you later.